A very good afternoon and welcome back to the Steeplechase fan YouTube channel, where for the first time in 2026 we are back inside the park, as it is now back open for the season. Well, sort of. The full park isn't back until March the 7th, but Nickelodeon Land is open this February half term. So of course we're in today for a few hours to have a go on some of the rides like Nickelodeon Streak, Blue Flyer, other rides like that. Much like we saw them testing the other day in the latest update that of course I shared on the channel a few days ago. But inside the park, as you can see here in the north end of the park, pretty interesting really, because I did do a YouTube video, the Pleasure Beach themselves, saying the entrance would be in the arena, but we did get an email last night saying that the entrance was going to be here at the main entrance. No reason given why. Maybe there's something happening in the arena, but they don't want a mixture of park guests and arena people all combined together and obviously sneaking on the park for free. But yeah, we're here in the park, as you can see, to have a nosy around this February half term to see what developments have happened over the closed season and what work is still to take place, to give 3 weeks notice, because in 3 weeks time the full park will be back open. So of course we can get on the likes of Icon Big One, Launchpad, which is at the side of me, and all the other rides you can see around here as well. So yeah, let's crack on with this update from Pleasure Beach. So going back over a year ago now, literally in February half term in 2025, we did have Ice Blast or Launchpad. I don't know if they announced the name at this point last year, but whatever it was at the time last year, it was all still covered in scaffolding, and they were actually craning on that top section last year. We were stood over by Wallace and Gromit, and they were craning that top section up over there as well. So obviously now this year it's having another strip down maintenance, and you can see they have left the ride gondola on. You can see some of the sections dotted around as well. Fence is missing at the minute, and like we pointed out during the Ice Blast to Launchpad conversion, we do have that maintenance platform up above the actual ride gondola as well, and you can kind of see where the seats would be, because you can see light blue wires hanging out, which is of course where the seats would be, and probably to give like power to the ride restraints as well. So yeah, that's all sitting here awaiting to be put back on. Of course 3 weeks time it will all look very different, all be ready to ride and stuff like that. And just behind Valhalla, just behind Ice Blast, sorry, we do have Valhalla. You can see the exit there, the exit drives and the exit ride photos. Having a bit of work, it seems, scaffolding up there, looks like some sort of sheets over the roof sections, maybe just making it a bit more watertight, getting them all ready for March the 7th. And the scaffolding continues all the way down the exit bridge there as well. And just in front of the drives and the photos, we do have some of the Valhalla boats there as well. Don't know if the camera will pick it up very well, but just through the black fences there you can see some big blue sheets, and you can kind of make out some like black rubber buffers, and in the centre there you can kind of see like a black spiral as to symbolise one of the backs of the boats. Yeah, we do have some Valhalla boats there. Some work happening here on Launchpad, and of course as we pan around this way, of course Flying Machines is shut for February half term, but if you pan over there to Derby Racer, it is all boarded up. That's normally just to protect the actual ride itself from the elements, because it doesn't really have any protection otherwise. So yeah, it protects the horses, protects the wood in there from all the cold winter weather we do get here in Blackpool. Just going to pan over to Grand National, because we do have some developments happening on that attraction for this year. So it's on the way over to Grand National now. You can see here it is all barried off. You can't go past them points. It is like a designated route from Noah's Ark entrance to Nickelodeon Land. So yeah, of course you can't go past any of these barriers. And I'm not entirely sure if there's going to be entrance every single time going through Noah's Ark entrance, or they might be using the arena entrance in the next few days, not entirely sure. But yeah, we do have Grand National here. Of course last year it did only operate 2 trains for the whole year. It was the blue train and the purple train, and of course I have been showing those over in the car park, and they are currently still sitting in the car park awaiting their yearly maintenance, because I do believe now Grand National will only really operate 2 trains each season. So last year we did do without green and red, and well, you can see this year green train is there and the red train is here. So yeah, we've got 2 trains for Grand National. Of course 4 train service probably never really come back to this attraction, which is a bit of a shame, but from what I've been hearing, apparently 4 trains never really actually impacted the capacity and the throughputs after this attraction, because all 4 would effectively sit here anyway. So you'd have 2 in the loading bays down there, and you'd have 2 in the offload bays here, and all 4 would be sitting here for a couple of minutes, not moving. So yeah, 2 trains probably is beneficial for them. You can probably pump through more people, if not the same people, if it was on 4 trains anyway. So good to see Grand National green and red train back, because we didn't see these at all last year. And then some interesting news behind Grand National as well. Looking over at the Evictor site, you can see straight into the site there. I mean, in the distance there's like a green box. Can't work out what it is from here, but you can see like a yellow dumper truck over there, and of course one of the foundations and support structures over there as well. I will try and put a ring on it, but there is like a black building going in there. That's what we can kind of see from the tunnel entrance, how they are starting to work on that steel structure, putting up black walls, presumably for the station building or the operation area for the staff members. But yeah, from this angle you can kind of see straight into the Evictus construction site. And then if you sort of look above these little black cushions here for Grand National, there is a load of scaffolding happening on the back wall of the infusion food kiosk. So yeah, maybe they're just sort of tidying that area up, covering it all up, making it look a bit more inviting than what it currently did when it was obviously the Bolodrome area over there as well. I'm not going to be heading into the tunnel on this update because there haven't been that many physical changes happening. It's more just been like electrical cables and digging out trenches to let them wires sit in there. Hence why we have that trench over by Big Dipper as well. From what I now know, that is a little electricity wiring and power units for Evictus, when obviously it will start testing, possibly in March or April time, to give a May opening. But yeah, back to Grand National though. No changes happening in terms of track, painting, anything like that, apart from the trains have now appeared as well. So I'm hoping this will be open for opening day on the 7th, which is in 3 weeks time. But yeah, good to see red train back and green train. But of course that does mean blue and purple will be having its year off. Quick nosy there into the construction site for Evictus. You can see lots of different dumper trucks, a little digger there as well, and you kind of see some piles of dirt there as well, probably where they are putting some electricity wiring and cables in there as well. CFY 4 still standing here. It didn't open in November last year towards the end of the season. The dancing water show looks like it's all still there as well. The flooring hasn't been took up or anything. But obviously they do have fences around there, so no construction vehicles for Evictus. Just drive over it and will obviously fall into the big pond that's in there. But yeah, interesting to see Evictus from this angle without those construction walls. But of course, you do imagine in 3 weeks' time, when the full park's back open, those construction walls will be back in, and we can't really see into the site there either. So I just had a wander around the entirety of the flying machines to this side of Valhalla. Of course, behind the barriers as always, and you can see Derby Racer here all boarded up. Can't see anything in there. I would imagine all the rides still intact and everything like that, but of course we don't know if any scaffolding's in there, any work taking place, because it is all covered up. Like I mentioned, just need these sheets up to protect the ride system as well, because of course it's a very old ride. You don't want to affect the horses, the wood, and obviously the propulsion system to power the ride in there as well. Looking at Valhalla from this angle, looks like lots of like water tank motors. Not entirely sure what those blue things are, probably to help clean the ride out. Got like a cherry picker here as well. The whole queue line has been took out there. You can kind of see there's no ropes or queue line in that fence or anything. And then panning on over there, we did show it when we were over at Launchpad, but you can see like a side-on view of those Valhalla boats that are over there as well. And then them little bits of work that are happening there over on the Valhalla photos and the Valhalla dryers. So yeah, interesting to have a little bits of work happening over there. But of course, 3 weeks time, I'm pretty sure Valhalla will be back open. Is it going to be on reduced hours like it was last year, like 2 o'clock till 5 o'clock, or is it going to be open for the full day? Let's see what happens in 3 weeks time. And of course we'll be back down there having a wander around, having a ride on Launchpad and enjoying the rest of the park as well. So yeah, we're going to head up now to like Wallace and Gromit area, because that ride is open for half term, and have a nosy over the south end of the park. So here we are then at the Alice in Wonderland attraction on the February the 15th, Sunday the February the 15th. Quick nosy at Alice. Of course it's a dark ride. The cars I presume are either inside the building or in the maintenance shed over there. I mean, there was a door open there. Can we see in there a little bit? So I might be able to like work out a car or two in there. But yeah, of course this opened up in December for Christmas, so of course they do need the extra time to do the maintenance on this one to get it ready for March the 7th reopening. It would be nice to go on Alice, of course, February half term, but like I said, it does open up for December for the Christmas grotto. I am trying to have a peek in there. Looks like you can just kind of see like the outlines of a car, but yeah, the camera's not really picking up due to the sun being right above. But it looks like they have maybe freshened up some areas. It does look pretty fresh in some parts. That looks like the new electricity wire down here as well, orange wire. But in terms of the rest of the ride, not really much to report on with Alice. We'd have to talk quite loudly over this very annoying speaker up here, but Ghost Train, again, much like Alice in Wonderland, not a lot of visible changes outside the attraction taking place. But if I zoom in all the way, I don't know how well the camera will be able to pick it up. I might put a picture over the top, but is that an on-ride camera I can see there? Or some sort of box? Not entirely sure what it is. It does look like something has been attached onto the back of the fire torch there. But yeah, not entirely sure what that is. I say I'm trying to zoom into it, but the camera's got a little bit blurry. Is it a new on-ride photo for Ghost Train? Looks like it's pointing at the drop if it is. But yeah, I will put a photo over the top so you can probably get a better look at it. Wallace and Gromit's Thrill-O-Matic is open for February half term. Not very busy, but then again Wallace is never really that busy in the main season either, to be honest. But of course, as we pan this way, behind the old dome building, we do get the Glance Ever Victus. The site's not new. The site was obviously there in November last year when the full park was open, because they did erect the ride in the start of November last year. And we mentioned how they did put 2 of the supports up, then took 2 of them down, and then the day after they did put the whole ride up. I think it was like a Wednesday in November last year they did put the whole ride up, and then a few weeks later they did put those like snake discs up on the ride as well. But of course, like I said, the site isn't new. It has been there since November last year, but of course that's the closest we can get to that site inside the park until March 7th. And also, like I showed before as well, down at Grand National, we could slightly see into the site little bits of construction vehicles from over by the Grand National. But yeah, gonna have a peek on over the site, the barriers here, because I do believe they have painted over the fountain that is in the old Grand Prix Helix area. So having a nosy into that fountain then in the former Grand Prix, that of course was transformed into the gardens area last year. The fountain, I did mention last year that it was a bit of a shame I had never bothered to repaint it in the transformational process from Grand Prix into gardens. And well, this winter they have done that, painted it over. They have come in with the paint cans, paint brushes, and painted over that. You can see as well that the whole bottom of the pond has been drained out, so of course to allow them to come in and paint that fountain. And yeah, it finally looks a bit more presentable now in that area, and looks a bit more inviting as well. Picnic benches aren't down here at the moment, so I imagine they've just been taken away into a building somewhere to be sheltered. And obviously the trench by Big Dipper, you can't see it from this angle. That looks like it's just a tunnel only angle for that trench down there. And then we do have that shed that has been rebuilt, and of course that smash window that I did also show in the tunnel as well. Bit weird how they would build a new shed but then put a smash window on, unless it's happened after they put the window in, it's been smashed. But yeah, the Bradley and Bella's learning garden shed is back, like I mentioned a few weeks ago as well in an update. Also, apologies if my throat sounds a little bit croaky as well. I have had a very bad cold all week, so yeah, I am still on the mend at the minute as well. If you're thinking, why is my voice sounding a little bit croaky at times? But yeah, good to see the actual fountain though. It has been repainted this close season. And yeah, looking across the rest of South Park as well, Starting here on the right, we still have the Grand Prix station and queue line stairs all still intact. Obviously you've got Big Dipper there in the background, Icon, Big One. Avalanche, I'm not entirely sure if they've done some painting or anything on this, like this final turn from both brake runs. It does look a little bit wider than normal, so yeah, potentially they have done a little bit of painting. As for the rest of the ride, I can't really see much from this angles because there was lots of trees in the way. But yeah, maybe this final turn has been painted, but of course in 3 weeks time we'll be able to walk underneath Avalanche and have a better look at that as well. And then obviously ending here, Revolution on the left hand side. Still no train in the station or anywhere on the track because the chassis for that vehicle are all still in the car park. I mean, that did close a few weeks prior to the season last November, and of course it's had lots of maintenance to do over the winter period for Revolution. And yeah, the train is still not back, but yeah, we've got 3 weeks left to go, so hopefully the next 2 weeks or so the train's back in there and testing does commence on that week leading up to March the 7th. But yeah, that's going to be a look over at South Park. I think I can go right down to the Chinese puzzle maze at the far end of Nickelodeon Street, so if I can, I might just do some panoramic shots from down there as well, having a look at the Big One area and see if we can see anything of Skyforce from down there as well, and also to see if anything's changed inside the old Gallopers carousel building as well. But as for this area, apart from the fountain being painted down there, and of course having the look at the recently rebuilt shed, not an awful lot of changes has happened over here from this vantage point. So having a sneaky look over there at Avalanche, there is some poles there. Are they scaffolding poles or anything? And like I mentioned up by the Wallace vantage point, bits of Avalanche look like they may have been painted, and that section of track there looks like it has been painted as well. I think that's the first helix down before the photo unit. But yeah, there is some kind of poles. I'm not entirely sure what they are, because obviously we still have the old Alpine Rally station building in the way, and you can kind of see the red tarp through there. The carousel is still there as well, so they closed them last year just to leave them there sitting all year round, much like Skyforce has been all year, sitting around doing absolutely jeff all. But looks like Avalanche there has been slightly painted over a bit, but of course we won't fully know and fully see the difference until we are back down there in 3 weeks time. So we're as far over as we can come now in the park, over by the Chinese maze. You can see another barrier here stopping us from going far down into the south end of the park, but we do get a little nosy over here at the Big One. Of course can't really see anything in there, so we don't know if there's a train in there or anything. We do know the other two are in the car park at the moment. 10 carriages are in that car park at this moment, but in terms of the other train, is it in there? We don't know. We'll have to have a ride on Streak and see if we can have a nosy through the windows, but of course there will be no filming on board Nickelodeon Streak. Looking around here, nothing really has changed. The Dodgems building is still there. There was a sign up as well still saying Dodgems, but in terms of them, I've no idea what even happened to the Dodgems. They announced, of course, last year that the 4 or 5 rides would be shut for the entirety of 2025. That being, of course, the Gallopers, Skyforce, Eddie Stobart, Convoy, and the smaller carousel, the Thompson one. But they never really glossed over Dodgems. That's sort of like quietly shut down. Carter's appeared and it's just been sat there ever since. But yeah, so we don't actually know what ever happened to the Dodgems, but it is a shame that the building is still there and there's been no replacement in that space. But yeah, looking across the rest of the site of South Park, not an awful lot has changed that I can see. We all just have a nosy round here as well, see if anything's changed, like Revolution or anything. Doesn't look like anything's changed with Rev. Of course the train's not up there. I did mention that it's still over in the main car park. We do have Skyforce. You can see the plane back there, and of course we did show that during the winter season as well, at the closed season over in the Boulevard car park. You can get a clearer view of Skyforce from standing in that car park. And then we do have the former Golden Gallopers building. Of course that got removed, I'm pretty sure it was like February or March last year, could have been slightly wrong, but yeah, the horses and the ride did leave last year to go onto the travelling circuit. But I can't quite tell what's in there. Of course it's been barriered off as well, don't really know why, because we can't come past this section anyway. There is something in there. It does look like benches and stuff like that. Maybe it's the picnic benches from the new gardens area that's been placed in there. But yeah, I can't really see anything else from this area. I say we'll pan down the side of the cans, the old Pepsi cans. But yeah, not an awful lot to see round here, I'm afraid. Right, so we're now in the Chinese puzzle maze in the centre towers, having an aerial look at Steeplechase, see if anything has changed on this Arrows dynamic Steeplechase attraction. Last year we did point out they had done some little painting sections. You can see one of them there on the red track. They did do that last year. I do believe they may have done some more this winter. The bottom of that first drop there looks like all three lanes, yellow, green and red, have been fully repainted over. But of course, like I mentioned prior, we can't get a accurate and full view of it from this angle all over here, but this will be the only angle that you can really get of that section of Steeplechase. On this one, Nickelodeon Street, having a peek down, or actually on the ride itself of Steeplechase, there isn't really any advantage areas that you can see of that attraction. But yeah, if you look at the track sections down here for the ride, look a bit grimy and dirty. Them ones up there do look a bit shiny and a bit more painted up. So yeah, it looks like they have actually done some painted sections of the ride up there as well, to mark a little bit more existence of the ride itself. I mean, a little bit of a shame with that. I would rather see this attraction go in the future. I'm not a lover of Steeplechase. Looks like we've got Nick Street coming round. There it is. So I'm not a lover of Steeplechase. I would like to see this go in the future at some point and put a different coaster in its place. You need to do the same layout, like a Gerstlauer family coaster or something of the kind. But yeah, I do think for the capacity as well that this ride holds, it's not the greatest. And of course, this was one of the rides last year as well, like Valhalla, that was also on reduced capacity. But yeah, they do done some painting of kinds over there. You can see lots of bits. But yeah, personally, I'd rather just see this attraction go bye-bye in the future. So I'm going to end this Pleasure Beach update here now. Hope you've enjoyed this first look of 2026 from back inside the park. Had a good little nosy about, haven't we? We started off, of course, in the north end, and a quick look at Launchpad. Obviously, the whole gondola, the seats have been took off, restraints, stuff like that. Pretty much like a throwback to last year when, of course, it was being transformed into Launchpad. And then we saw just behind Launchpad little bits of work taking place over on Valhalla with the photo unit and dryers. So they're getting some like roof maintenance. Moved away over to the Grand National, where it looks like green train and red train will be the two trains that will be in service this year, meaning that blue and purple are going to be having a year off. Came up here to have a nosy about the south end. Of course, we showed you that fountain and the shed that you can see there as well have been rebuilt and repainted. And then had a nosy down to the far end, down the Chinese maze, to see what we could see from down there. Mainly just looking at the Steeplechase repainted tracks. Not really anything else to see down there as well in terms of like big one or rev anything like that. But yeah, it was good to get inside the park for the first time in 2026, having a good nosy about. Of course, there will be more Pleasure Beach inside the park and outside the parks to come, and then of course as well 3 weeks today, March the 7th, the full park will be back open as well. Also, apologies, like I said earlier as well, if my voice is a little bit croaky. I have suffered quite a bad bug and a cold this week, and I'm still on the mend of that. But hopefully in a few weeks as well, my voice will be back to normal. I won't be sounding as croaky. So, if you enjoyed this video, hit the thumbs up, and of course, we're back with more Pleasure Beach updates, as I say, in and outside the park in the future.
Experience vertical